Good morning. Good morning. Just setting up. Good morning. It's such a beautiful day. I'm thanking God. Thank you, Lord, for letting me see this day and take another breath. And I suggest that if you could do this, that you thank Him as well. My name is Erin, and I am charting my journey through chemo and my battle with ovarian cancer again for the second time. I decided to chart it this time because it's not a lot of positive things. There's a lot of survivor stories and stories of people being, survivors and everything. But it's like when they're going through the journey, some of the stuff is so bleak. And I just wanted to do something a little different. I'm going to give a little bit of backstory on myself. And before I have to run into my pre-chemo appointment. I'm going through chemo for the second time. This is my second time battling ovarian cancer. I'm stage 4 currently, stage 4 ovarian cancer, to be exact, metastatic ovarian cancer of the breast. I know, sounds crazy. But like I said, give a little backstory. Again, my name is Erin Zachary. I am a 2-time survivor. I'm not out of chemo, but I'm a 2-time survivor, claiming it in advance anyway. And most of my friends say I have a great sense of humor, so that's why I decided to do this. Maybe I could get a little bit of humor in it. I just want to say this before I even go into my backstory. Sometimes my humor, it's not meant to be offensive. It's just that I make fun of myself. And sometimes certain people who see other people going through it, going through cancer, going through different things in life, they don't see the humor in the situation because it's not a humorous situation. I choose for my survival to make a joke out of everything. If I can find laughter in it, I feel better. When I laugh, when I'm joking, I feel more in control. I feel like I'm happy, I'm upbeat. And, being upbeat and positive is what makes me survive. It is what helps me. It's not everybody's journey. Everybody has their own story and their own journey and what they've gone through, how they experienced, what their experience was, and how they survive. Mine is through laughter, love, positivity, and just staying upbeat like today and like staying pretty. I do it. I'm a pretty survivor. I am a pretty survivor. And that's not being boastful. I mean it. When I say a pretty survivor is what I do is when I get up in the morning, if I don't feel well, I'm going to put on these brows. I'm going to put on these lashes. I'm going to slap on these wigs, lace fronts. Sometimes it's a bust. Sometimes I'm out here looking like a whole drag queen in these streets. That's just, you got to deal with it. Sometimes I could be America's Next Top Model. Sometimes I'm on RuPaul's Drag Race. It just all depends. But I'm going to make myself feel as best as possible. So, and it seems like it's artificial and it's like superficial and things like that, but it's not. It's just that this is my way of coping. And it may help somebody. This could be used as a survival guide, or it could be used as just a good laugh. Here in stage 4 was very difficult for me because I understand it. And it was, grade 3. Like, these are scary words. I choose to make them funny words. So I just wanted to pre-warn that sometimes during my vlog or my journey, I may say things that I make a joke out of certain things, and you may feel like it's not a funny matter. Well, to me it is. And it's my journey. It's my experience. And I just hope that if you can't laugh with me, maybe you could just laugh at me. Especially on those days like today where I can't get my eyelashes on correctly. Yeah. Anyway, so some backstory. In 2016, I was diagnosed with ovarian cancer. It was a grade 3, stage 1C. For you all who know what that means, that aggressive, but not, that far. That's an early stage to catch it in. That's the detected. That's a little bit early. So what that meant was I had to go through chemotherapy and I had my ovaries removed. So I'm going to rewind a little bit more so we could get on how we ended up there. But I'm going to kind of speed through that because, and I may revisit that at a later time, but my first experience with ovarian cancer was not a very positive one. I mean, not that cancer is positive, but it can be if you have the right healthcare professionals. It was very hard for me. It was very difficult. I didn't understand much. I went through it blindly. I had no navigation. I had no assistance. I just was thrown in the fire. I'm not sure whether I'm gonna go as far as to release and say who I was treated with before. It's just a lot going on with that, and until I can really have a grip on how I'm going to proceed with those situations, I don't really want to, give out too much information that later I could just, it could be like, you shouldn't have said that. So I'm going to kind of tread lightly on that. So for right now, when I refer to my first doctor, I'm going to just call him Gyne-Onc 1. And I will use the names of my current doctors because I love them. They're the best. So I went to my gynecology oncologist the first time because my regular OBGYN referred me because I had a mass that was found. Basically, the mass was found and I'm during a GI exam. I don't know how we ended up with a abdominal ultrasound, but that's what she did. She gave me an abdominal ultrasound and she found a mass, and my OBGYN was going to remove it, but it's standard for him to do blood work. One of the blood tests that he did was a CA-125. That's the cancer antigen 125. That's how you can detect ovarian cancer. Now, it's not an exact science, so don't listen to this and say, oh, I need to go run out and have a CA-125 to make sure that I don't have ovarian cancer. It doesn't work that way. There aren't a lot of symptoms of ovarian cancer. That's why it's one of the more deadly cancers, and that's because it goes undetected for a minute. It's almost a fluke that they found mine because, like I said, I was not there for any type of abdominal or gynecological reasons. I was there for a GI exam. She just did it, and I don't know what, but hats off to her because that radiologist. And I would say who she was, but I don't know that that's a good idea either because, like I said, I was not there for that. I don't know why she did that, and her reasoning, I kind of feel like I probably just should not throw her under the bus. So anyway. Lucky for me, she did the right thing. So I found all this stuff out May 27th. From May 27th to October 14th, it took my doctor at the time, from May 27th to October 14th to schedule me for surgery to at least remove the mass. The mass was on my right side. It was 6 centimeters at the time, and it had completely taken over my ovary. So my ovary was no longer of any good. At the time, I had a 8-year-old. So I was assuming, and this is just my estimate because, like I said, I didn't have a very good team of doctors, so I can't pinpoint like, they found out. I mean, well, it started, I had it from this day to that day. I'm going to just narrow it down. Because I had a child in 2008, I'm going to say that it had to be sometime after 2008. So let's just fast forward a little bit. So after October 27th, they removed it, and that wonderful oncologist, who we won't name right now, went on vacation and told my sister, who was a distraught sister, that I had cancer and ovarian cancer and that I would need chemo. He didn't give her much details. That's all he told her, and he left and went on vacation. I guess maybe he had unrefundable Disney tickets, whatever. But he couldn't stay 30 more minutes after the surgery for me to come up off of the anesthesia and tell me himself. Anywho, so I talked to my sister, and she told me I could basically look on her face and tell that something was not right. Because, that was a big burden to put on the lap of somebody who is not a medical professional, because I had questions. He sent in one of his PAs who I had never met also to have this very delicate situation with me. So like I said, long story short, I had a very bad experience with chemo. I'm gonna keep looking at my watch because I have a few more minutes before I have to be in here. So my doctor tells me that he told me the treatment plan was going to be for me to go through 6 rounds of chemo. I made it through 4.5. Long story short, I had a reaction twice. One, I wasn't able to breathe well. The second time basically happened the same way, but it was almost like a reaction to when you're allergic to medication. And so they stopped it on the 5th one about maybe 20 minutes into the session. So I didn't do anything past those 4. I never rang a bell. This is not one of those stories or how it was so sad and then it got better and then I rang a bell. I didn't ring no bells. I wasn't interested in going back to ring no bells. If I was going to ring a bell, I could beat the horn. I mean, I don't know, ring a bell on a bicycle or none of that. And none of that is my story. I know that really means a lot to everybody else, and I'm not trying to diss that. I'm not trying to down it. I'm not trying to speak against it. I'm just saying that's just not my journey. It's just not me. All of that stuff that people did, it did not work for me. I didn't want no parts of that. I wanted out of that lab. And at that point, when I felt like I was healthy, I was happy just to have my life back. Only thanks and bells I wanted to ring was my voice to God telling him thank you. That's all I wanted. So that's what I did. And like I said, it's nothing wrong with doing all of that, going through that process. It means a lot to certain people. Hats off to that. I'll go to any bell ringing ceremony y'all want me to go to. Just don't have one for me. Okay, anywho. So, moving right along. I mean, I've been, I go every 3 months. I develop peripheral neuropathy. That's just like, damage to your nerves. It causes tingling and, a loss of feeling in your hands, your legs, and your feet. Sometimes like a tingling, burning sensation. Sometimes pain. Your joints hurt a lot. So also, okay, so moving further along, I've been on every medication under the sun. At one point, I was on 31 meds for various different conditions due to the effects of chemo. I promised myself I would never go through chemo again, but let's fast forward a little bit more to where we are now. In November of 2018, approximately about 2 years after my diagnosis and almost 2 years of me being out of chemo, I found a mass in my breast. Okay, I'm going to have to go, so we're going to pause this and I'll be right back.